Hey guys. No, it's it's
Good start.
me and Naveed here for Real Buttons episode. What episode are we? 18?
18
17?
or 17?
18.
I don't
think,
know.
Yeah, somewhere in that. We don't keep track, folks.
No,
You guys
dude, it's been
are
so
that.
long since our last one anyway, so we're
It's been like 15 days. That's
Yeah.
primarily Naveed's fault. I'm not gonna accept
and
any
the
blame for it.
holidays.
No, he's not even Christian. He's, he's not an excuse.
I'm agnostic.
I'm an atheist, but I still celebrate Christmas. I don't know. What do you do? Does your family celebrate Christmas?
We put up trees.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wow.
Well, we didn't have our normal tree this year, but we put up this small tree that we have that has some like really cool lights on it, so that was good enough.
Yeah. Phil, where's the link to this shit? Phil wants a link. I gotta find a link.
Yeah,
find
I
it.
can't.
You keep talking.
I can't get it from my page. Christmas. That's a holiday.
The Christmas. That's a holiday. That's a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
New
not
Year's
hard.
is coming up. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's another one. No, no. I was telling Phil because like he's all negative on Christmas and shit. That
It's a consumer holiday, man.
yeah, well, he's all negative on it. So I was like, Phil, you do realize like because he's an atheist. And I was all like, dude, you do realize that it's not. It's like not like just for Christians anymore. Like I'm an atheist and I celebrate it. You're agnostic and you celebrate it. Isn't your mom?
And my parents are my my
Islam or-
my dad is Muslim, but he basically isn't religious at all.
See, Muslims celebrate it, Phil. It's great. It's a tree. It's a dead tree in your living room.
Or a fake tree.
I have a fake tree.
Yeah, so do we. Everybody I know has a fake tree. My sister got a real tree for her like rented house that she has for school.
You have to do. There's so much to worry about with the real ones.
Yeah, and it's like all the pine or whatever gets
Well,
on
and
the
like we
floor.
used to get real ones, but like they cost. I mean, you can buy like a fake one for the same price as a real one, and then that fake one's gonna last you like forever.
Dude, we've had the same fake one for as long as I can remember. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I get the appeal of a real tree because they smell really great, but you also have to like worry about spiders and shit coming off of it, and
it's just like the tradition going out and getting a tree with your family. I never did that, so I don't know that feeling.
well,
but-
I'll tell you this much: tree lots are overrated. They're always in some like mud pit, and you gotta go freaking walk around in some mud pit, and yeah, it's overrated, folks.
Yeah.
I'm not for it.
Well,
Phil, I'm gonna send this shit to you here. Let's see
send
here.
it to me too. I want to see if there's any comments, just in case.
I sent it to you on Steam. I have no idea why.
Okay, that'll work. But yeah, did you get anything good for Christmas that you want to
I
show
got-
off?
So much stuff for Christmas, but not anything really gaming related. I just got like cash and then some books and
Yeah, I just-
clothing.
I just got basically
I got
clothes.
candy, and I did buy some games for myself for Christmas with the cash that I got. It was it was a really good Christmas in terms of presents. I got some really freaking good presents. I got some a lot of our Conan listeners who are also Conan fans.
We got our video up this time, so it's like
Flaming Sea,
we can
huh?
show it.
Flaming Sea. Very obscure Conan O'Brien reference. Don't worry about it, folks. No. I got a lot of good stuff, but I bought like a tantalizing THQ medley pack on Amazon that was like Space Marine, Stalker, Homefront, Red Faction Guerrilla, Red Faction Armageddon, which I already had those two.
hmm
And I think there was something else that I already had in the pack or something like that. But I was between that and Saints Row 2, and I didn't want Saints Row 2 because it looked too much like GTA. So I was like, I'll just stick with Saints Row 3 and then wait for Saints Row 4.
My yeah, I basically just got clothes. I asked for socks and jeans, and I got other clothes as well. But yeah, I got like my dad's friend came over from that. I haven't seen him since I was a kid, so yeah, he came over and he gave me a $50 Macy's gift card that I gave to my mom, and she's gonna give me cash for that. So yeah, that's basically all I got.
Oh, yeah.
That underwear,
Yeah, Christmas underwear. Anyways, no.
the best kind.
The best kind.
Yeah.
It smells of Saint Nick's elves. Um, no. And then I got, what else did I buy? I bought Splinter Cell Chaos Theory for $2 on Steam. I have no idea if it's any good or not. I've played like 10 minutes and I'm like, it's okay. I don't like his jump.
My friend really likes Chaos Theory. Like he kept telling me to play Splinter Cell and play Chaos Theory, but I'm not a big fan of stealth. So
No, you're not.
no.
You are not.
But I forgot. I also did get this thing, Elgato video capture thing. So if you guys have been seeing, I've been posting some actual gameplay of stuff from my other capture card with Nintendo Land and my reviews and stuff. But I got this other one so I could capture older games because that other capture unit I have doesn't have any composite like cable stuff. So, yep.
And then I don't know why the hell I'm the one. Why do I have my cam on when you're the one who's showing shit off? Anyways,
I don't know. We want to see your beautiful face.
Yeah, that's true, but not so true. Anyways, no. I got something else. I got like one other game. I got Dawn of War 2 Collection, Dawn of War franchise pack, which was like all the games and the DLC. And I'm pretty stoked about that. Phil doesn't really, he's not too big on the first game, but the second game is kick-ass.
Is the first one the one that came with the Humble Bundle?
Yeah, it is. The first one is Dawn of War. The Humble Bundle got Dawn of War Game of the Year edition, which comes with the game and I think one expansion, but there's actually 2 other expansions that came out for the first game.
All right.
Not that it matters for you because you hate RTS, but
yep.
And the first game actually is an RTS. The second game, I found this out recently. Apparently, Total War and Dawn of War 2 are not RTS games. This is news to me. They are real-time tactics, which was a genre I had never heard of.
There's too many genres being made up these days, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it makes sense because, like, with Total War and Dawn of War 2, there is no base management.
Dude, I never heard of
or resource collection.
I never knew that League of Legends was a MOBA. Like I hadn't heard of MOBA as a genre until like just recently.
Really? That you're way behind the curve on that one.
I know.
But that's one that yet again justifies a different genre name because it's not an RTS. You just control like one dude.
It's like it seems to play like Diablo or something. Like from what I've seen of Diablo, but
not really because in I think in MOBA you do have like NPC helpers and quite a lot of them, and you also have like resource points you need to protect. But yeah, it's like I would say it's an amalgamation of RTS with action RPG. I don't know. I'm not super informed on Defense of the Ancients, but yeah, I guess that's what it is. I mean, like, 'cause I tried to play Dota 2 and I just didn't really get it. I was like, I tried to play it and I just didn't understand what was happening. And I gave it like an hour and I was just like, I don't get this. I'm not really having much fun. I mean, it's like Torchlight 2 and stuff like that, and like Titan Quest. Me and Phil have been playing quite a bit of those, and we've been having a hell of a time. And like we're trying to decide which is better, like Titan Quest or Torchlight 2. I don't think we really came to a conclusion on it, but no, I mean they're really fun multiplayer games, but like Dota 2 is not like an action RPG, unfortunately.
Mm.
I mean, if it was, it would be. I would find it fun.
I see.
That's probably like I think that's like the first game Valve has made that I've played where I've been like, yeah, I find nothing redeeming in this. The graphics are nice. The graphics look cool. I like the visual style. That's about it for Dota 2 for me.
It's a lot of games like that for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I like everything about this game except how it plays.
Well, have you played Torchlight 2 yet?
No, I don't have it.
Do you have Torchlight, the first one from the Humble Bundle?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I would say check that out, but honestly, without multiplayer, those games are really boring for me. Like, I can only... Like, Torchlight 2, I managed to play like 10 hours, and then I was just like completely burnt out on it without multiplayer. And then finally Phil got it, and we had a shit ton of fun when we played it. But
Nice.
yeah, it's those games. I've always kind of maintained that action RPGs are like multiplayer is basically required for them to be great games.
Unless it's like a Kingdom Hearts type game. That's an action RPG, so it's like...
Yeah, technically Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG, so that's true. So yeah.
Yeah, there's different types of action RPGs, so...
But I mean, I mean, Diablo's like I think it's kind of defined as a dungeon crawling action RPG, which is what Torchlight 2 and all the others would be. So yeah.
Top down action RPG.
Top down dungeon crawling action RPG MOBA. No. So yeah, I guess that's done for Christmas crap, right? We're done with that stuff. All right, I'll launch into my little spiels about what games I've been playing. You guys already know that I've been playing Titan Quest and Torchlight 2. You know that I bought Splinter Cell Chaos Theory and the Dawn of War 2 collection. I also got the Darksiders. Oh, I forgot this. Darksiders 2 franchise pack. I got that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got that. And the second game is
actually talking about. You never told me you actually got it, so that's actually news to me.
Oh, it was like $13 for Darksiders 2.
I lied. No, you're talking about it.
Well, I told you to buy it, man.
And you told me Darksiders 2 is amazing. That's what you told me.
Yeah, well, like I've only made like an hour into it, but like the combat is way better than the first game. Like it's been heavily improved, and like just like jumping around and like the graphics, there are some performance issues, like people said there were, like and the settings aren't that great. But
is that just like a programming thing, or is that like the problem with your actual rig?
I think it might just be like the slowdown happens, because I've seen people even with like 500 level cards and 600 level cards saying there's periods of some frame drops, but not the biggest deal. Like the only place I ran into it early in the game was like there's like this area with like a tree, and it's like really shiny and bright. And there were other areas with like intense lighting, with even lighting that was even more intense, and like a lot more graphical effects and stuff, and like longer draw distances. Yeah. And they weren't slowing down my computer at all. So I mean, most of the time the frame rate's stable. It's just it kind of had a little bit of a drop, and it's definitely not my GPU, because what would happen is as you would enter it, the frames would drop, and then once you like walked into it and looked around, eventually the frames would stabilize.
Maybe it's like a loading type thing, but
I don't know. It's tough to say, but I've seen people with like 560s complain about it and stuff, and a 560 should definitely be running that game top speed. So.
I mean, as far as Darksiders 2 go, I mean, some people, a lot of people have said like it does so many things better than Darksiders, but then it just does some other things worse.
Right, and so that's and that's kind of like how I feel so far. Like I definitely know that there's like pacing is off in the second game, and what pacing was kind of off in the first game, to be realistic. There was a little bit of a pacing issue in the first game, particularly with like those kill rooms at the beginning. Those are terrible. The other problem with the first game is it was overly focused on combat, and the combat wasn't good enough to warrant it. And I still feel like that this game is probably going to end up where maybe it has a little too much focus on combat. But the way that I've seen so far is it's mostly like one-on-one or 2-on-1 combat, which is much more reasonable. Like the first game, there'd be later parts where you'd be like facing down like 10 to 20 guys at once, and it was just really tedious. It wasn't like it was like super. It was just yeah.
Were you just like placed in an area and you had to like take down these guys, or what?
There'd be like times, yeah, because like even late in the game you get locked in areas until you can kill these dudes, and that's fine, but it would just get kind of frustrating. And I think the first game, though, I think overall, even by the time I'm finished with Darksiders 2, I think the first game will be my favorite. I'm really sad that the series didn't do well, because it was a big risk on THQ's part. The art direction's really unique. They're really pretty games. The storylines are cool. And, I mean, obviously Joe Madureira, fantastic artist, absolutely great artist, and cool that he made a game series. And sad that it's probably a dead game series.
Yeah, it's funny, though, like, we'll talk about this later with the THQ stuff, but their estimations for, like, how much the game was going to sell was actually a lot less than what they said was needed for a sequel.
Yeah, a sequel.
So... I don't know.
And we're talking a little bit. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But that was like we don't know if the figure you're talking about either was like the break-even point or like the amount that they just internally estimated.
I'm pretty sure people have said that it is the estimation. Like that's what everyone.
I think it's the estimation, and I gotta say that estimation was much more reasonable than
it was like
it was a lot more reasonable.
2
I think it was
million?
like it was. I don't even think it was that much. I think it was like it might have been 2.4 million or something like that. And honestly, I could see
The
Darksiders.
South Park estimation was higher though.
The South Park. I don't even think South Park is going to do like 1.5 million. I think it'll be lucky if it breaks 1 million. I don't think because South Park. You got to think like I mean, even though it's not even. I mean, like the market you're appealing to there is like 3 million viewers for every new episode.
Yeah.
I mean, because like people who don't watch South Park, I mean, because it's on network television too. So
I wanna know how much the those really shitty downloadable games sold. Those South Park downloadable games.
I have no idea.
Because I mean,
I think THQ's overinvested in that though. I think that was a Danny Bilson move, and it was another classic bad Danny Bilson move. Like let's order 1.5 million copies of U-Draw on 360 and PS3, and then see how that works out, and then let's sell 400,000 of them, and then have 1.1 million of them sitting in a warehouse, and have to pay for the fucking floor space for months.
Yeah.
It's just
but what was I gonna say? What were we talking about? What was right before this? I lost my train of thought.
South Park downloadable titles.
Oh yeah, and like the last time there was a South Park game, like a retail South Park game, wasn't that like N64, PS1?
Yeah, there was that first-person shooter on.
The shitty
one.
one, yeah.
And, you know, and I thought when they first announced Stick of Truth, I was absolutely certain when I saw it that it was a downloadable title for like $15 or $20.
I thought that too. Yeah, I didn't think it was.
I was like, that's a good move. And then somebody said, oh no, it's a full-fledged $60 retail title, and I went, no, that's a terrible move.
I still think the game looks really cool. Like I'm interested in it.
Here's the deal. I'm not a South Park fan, but I'm an Obsidian fan, so I'll probably buy it at like $5 or whatever when it ever gets down there. But
yeah,
I'm not paying much money for it because I don't really like the South Park shows. So, anyways, yeah, I'm upset that Darksiders isn't doing so great, but I hope that maybe if THQ can, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but hopefully they can get to a third one. We'll see. I finished Bulletstorm, so I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about Bulletstorm. I don't know if you played any more since I started playing it and finished it.
No, I didn't have it with me since I was at my apartment, right. So
yeah,
I got her back there, but
so. I think Bulletstorm has a lot of cool ideas, but it's yet again a game that the pacing was just, it went on too long, and it started to really fall flat towards the end of the game, and they tried to introduce these new enemies towards the end, and it just it wasn't enough to keep the game going. And this is something else I want to talk about. Is one of the reasons I think that these games are costing so much to make is it's just like in Darksiders 2. There's a section of Darksiders 2 that I've seen every single person who gets that far in the game complains about it, and there's a section in Darksiders 2 where you go back to Earth, and it supposedly lasts like 5 hours, and it's supposedly 5 hours of awful, and like I don't understand when they're making that kind of thing, like why don't they just cut that, reduce the development cost of the game, and then have a game without a bad section that they probably spent millions making that section of the game, and they could have saved that money. They could have cut content that nobody was going to like. I mean, what I don't understand with games nowadays is there's this real big movement in almost every single AAA game I play to artificially extend the length beyond the point that the game is no longer interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Nintendo stuff, everybody said that about Skyward Sword, that the pacing was just completely broken.
It didn't even need it. It didn't need the filler content. Like that would have been a good 20 to 30 hour game without maybe a little more, but still, it's like that's a plenty long game.
How long is Skyward Sword even with the filler?
I think I finished in about 45 hours, something like that.
Yeah, so I mean,
which is that's kind of like Twilight Princess length, but I don't know.
I don't remember any filler content in Twilight Princess. I mean, there was overworld travel, which took for fucking ever because that overworld was giant. But
Yeah, and there was very little to do in it. But
there was very little to do, and it was giant. But it in terms of the actual like dungeons and like the main story and stuff. Outside, well, there was the tutorial that took like 6 hours.
it was like 3 hours. But yeah, the tutorial was. I even think I think the tutorial in Twilight Princess might have been better than Skyward Sword, but I can't even remember the tutorial in Skyward Sword anymore. But what was I going to say? I mean, everything about Skyward Sword, like you said, like the dungeon and everything, all that stuff is fantastic. Like the dungeon design is maybe some of the best in a 3D Zelda game, but yeah, just stuff you do in between those sections, it's just some of that stuff really didn't need to be there. For sure.
One thing
and,
I really
can see
liked is I'm starting to really enjoy games where, like, one thing I really like in Saints Row the Third is they've mostly, like, in the story mode, you're introduced to all of the optional stuff you can do outside of the story mode. Like, they'll have them as main missions. Like, in one mission in Saints Row the Third, there'll be, like, a mode where you drive around and you have to deliver this tiger in the back seat, and you're driving a convertible, and this tiger's, like, swiping at you, and you have to get to the area or whatever before it kills you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know that the tiger's going to be in the back seat. It's typical Saints Row humor, but you just show up and like this guy who's like wants you to work with him or whatever is like you got to conquer your fear and you don't know what he means, and then you get there and he's like you have to drive my tiger to my house.
Yeah.
And so no, like that's something you could do as like an extra, like just around the city. You know, there will be like little hot spots you can initiate, like little modes like that or whatever, where you have to deliver this tiger to different places or whatever. And what I like about it though is that once you're done with that, there's no more of that stuff. So it's like kind of lazy side quest stuff in the main storyline. Like, and this is another game I finished, by the way, Saints Row the Third. And
that's actually like, sorry to interrupt, but like that part of a lot of games, like I have a problem with games that have a lot of shitty side quests like that, because I'm one of those people that, I don't know, I feel like I am obligated to go and at least do some of those.
Well, I don't think, to be fair, I don't think that it was shitty. I actually thought it was really fucking funny the first time. But
that's
it was
not, I'm not using that as an example, but like just games in general, like that have side quests like that where you like have to go find something and then take it back to someone or something like that, because there's a lot of stuff like that in maybe games like Skyrim and stuff. But
well, I'm not looking forward to that in Darksiders 2 because I hear there's a lot of find 3 and take it back to me. Like,
I mean, if it's only done a couple times, like I don't mind it, but
yeah, I know what you mean. In Saints Row the Third, I gotta say, like, it's an amazing game. It's a really stellar game. It's got some flaws, but mostly it's hilarious. It's completely over the top. Its gameplay's great. The driving physics are probably the best in any open world game I've played, other than maybe like Driver, that involved cars at least. It's got solid graphics, not amazing.
I thought the world seemed kind of bland.
It depends on where you are, because there's like different places, but there's like once you go into like the main city centers and stuff, there's lots of like lit and LED billboards and stuff like that, and it gets cooler looking in those spots. But there are areas where like it's just like a factory area or a residential area, and or there's like the ghetto, and then it's really drab looking. I think that they're on the right path though, and like I think Saints Row Third is the best GTA type game ever. I say that without a doubt. It's got such a nice mix of open world gameplay, which I'm not a huge fan of, mixed with scripted missions. And so you get that sense of linearity and structure, but at no point do you feel like you're contained and like you can't do what you want. Because the missions are scripted, so you can go play a scripted mission and have something like your typical third-person shooter scripted event or whatever that feels really high quality, right. And then you can go back into the open world, screw around, do a couple of side quests, do whatever you want, fly around on a hover bike if you want, and then you can go back and do it again. So I mean, it's like you never really get bored, and there's some really cool weapons and there's some cool vehicles, and I was really, really pleased with the game. The other game I got was Anachronix, which I believe came out in 2001. It's a Japanese style RPG, but it was made by Ion Storm, the guys who did Deus Ex.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten that far. I think I'm about 2 hours into that or something like that. It's pretty cool story-wise. I just turned it to easy because the combat is it's a turn-based RPG, and the combat is old school. So I didn't really derive much enjoyment from the combat, and so I just kind of want those segments to be over as fast as possible so I can get back to the chasing the storyline. So far, it's pretty damn good, though, and the characters are really good and the storyline. And the one thing that's really impressed me the most probably is the way that they handle the camera in the game. I'm amazed I haven't seen anything like it since, really, in any modern games, because it's really well done, the way that they use the camera in the game.
How does that work? I haven't seen very many videos of it.
Each time the way that the camera works is it's very much like when you go to new areas, it does these sweeping panning shots where it looks like it's sort of flying around. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Fifth Element, some of the cinematography work in Fifth Element.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain actually, but it's really thematic and effective. I was literally kind of astonished when I saw it, the way they handled the camera for the first time, because I've never seen anything quite like it in another game, and it's really cool. It's really immersive and shows off the world rather well. So also the music's good, but chiefly, the story and the camera are the things I find most impressive, and I would really like to see a sequel to it, maybe with a little bit more of a modern flair on the combat.
Cool.
I also got Brazen, which was included in the Amnesia Fortnite bundle. Double Fine's, prototyping thing they do every single year. Phil and I tried to play Brazen together. His computer won't run it for some reason, and I played it, and I haven't beaten the thing yet. But it's actually, I was kind of surprised, and I really would like to see Double Fine expand on that. Have you checked that out at all, Naveed?
It seems a lot like Monster Hunter.
It's heavily influenced by It's basically what it is. It's exactly what they say. It's it's basically Monster Hunter with Harryhausen influence on the animation. Everything's Harryhausen. He was the guy who did a lot of the old monster movies.
Okay.
And so the way that everything's intended to look is that it's everything, even the characters, their animations are supposed to make it look like they're sort of like puppets.
Mm.
And so the way they move is really janky and weird, and that's intentional. But it actually works. It looks really fluid. But
cool.
It's supposed to look like a 1950s monster movie.
Huh. It didn't seem like it looked like that from some of the videos I watched, but
it's kind of hard to. I would agree. It's kind of hard to explain unless you sit there and watch the. If you can kind of tell in the opening cutscene if you look closely at the humans, but when you play the game, if you just watch the freaking turtle that you're supposed to be killing, it's pretty obvious. His legs move and the way he twists around and stuff like that. A lot of people are confusing it for just being a janky prototype, but it's actually intentional. And once you realize it's intentional, you're actually that's pretty well done. But yeah,
I kind of want to.
But if you're looking,
I've been wanting to get into a
Monster
Hunter type game for a while.
Suggest,
I got the Wii one, but I never really got into it.
Personally suggest
I
was into Monster Hunter that was kind of the original PS2, and I'll never get into
series that laid the groundwork for that type of gameplay.
Right.
So I think that's pretty much... Oh, wait, I want to talk about Dawn of War 2 a little bit, because this game is really freaking good. I was kind of shocked, because I usually hate RTS, like I said, and apparently they're not RTS, whatever, I'm going to call them RTS. Anyways, so, no, it's really cool, because it's kind of like Total War, but it's the exact polar opposite. So, while Total War is about these giant epic battles, where you control thousands and thousands of troops at once, Dawn of War 2 is about controlling a small squad of Space Marines, because the game's based on Warhammer 40k, and just having these much more intimate conflicts, and so it's really different. But it's I mean, it feels really nice to set up like a heavy bolter, a Devastator Marine, like right at the back of your party, and then have this cone go out from your guy, and like then just have all your units like in cover or whatever, and just everything that's coming through is getting hit by your heavy bolter. It's just fantastic. It's a great feeling. And the universe is really well done, and I've been reading like a lot of Warhammer lore and stuff like that. It's a pretty big universe. I had no idea. I didn't really know about Warhammer before this game. So, anyways,
Cool.
I think that's everything for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually gotten a whole lot of stuff since last podcast, but like I said, I mentioned I got that Elgato video capture thing to record some older stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to do more videos like that. And I also got Paper Mario Sticker Star. And that game's pretty good, but it's not really a Paper Mario game. Like,
That's what I've been hearing about it.
yeah, a bunch of the RPG elements are taken out of it. It's
Which
more
apparently
like
was Miyamoto's idea. Brilliant.
that's it's still good, but it's not like a Paper Mario game if that's what you're looking for. It feels a lot more like an adventure title because the level design is actually really, really good. Going around exploring the levels is really fun, and the levels are actually separated into worlds, or worlds kind of like a regular Super Mario game. So it's like there's just like a regular forest world and a desert world, and then they're separated into levels in between those. But all these levels are really like cool to explore and stuff. The only other thing that I really, really hate how there is no experience system or something like that, a level up system, because in battle, like when you battle, there's no reward for battling. So basically, if you want to, you can just skip all the battles and just try to get to the boss or whatever. But the battle system is still fun. Like, that's actually a really good thing because it uses a sticker system. So you collect all these stickers throughout the world. And
I thought the sticker stuff seemed interesting, but yeah, after I heard... I mean, I was never a big... You know me, I was never a big Mario RPG fan. I didn't like the combat and all that stuff, and I don't like the rhythm combat and all that.
Actually,
but I thought the sticker stuff seemed neat when they first showed the game on 3DS way back when. I forget when they first showed it, but I kind of think this is. I mean, this is kind of. I don't understand what they're really doing with the franchise because I mean, Super Paper Mario disappointed a lot of fans too.
I like that game. I was a fan of that game.
But I mean, it wasn't really a Paper Mario.
No,
title.
that wasn't a Paper Mario title either. That was completely different, really, from any Paper Mario.
And I mean,
title.
like I had it, and I wasn't super impressed with it. And the other thing I don't like about it is like how long it takes to like. There's too much talking, and
there's not as much talking in this game. I'll tell you that. But like, I mean, I love the writing.
But on the flip side, doesn't it go back to the combat that I don't like? So like, because Super Paper Mario, didn't you didn't, if I remember correctly, you didn't really have combat. You just jumped on.
It was like
normal
a
Mario.
platformer. Yeah, it was like
And
Mario.
I preferred that, but it was like, but then they would just not shut the hell up, and it took if I remember correctly, you couldn't even skip it either. So it was like,
I don't know.
I think you couldn't skip it because like I remember like I tried to start like.
I'm pretty sure you could have like press 2 or whatever on the controller and make it go faster, but I don't think you could completely skip it.
That's another thing. This is another thing. I said before, if any game that I review has unskippable cutscenes of any kind, you're getting a flat-out minus star entirely just for that one thing. I'm tired of this shit.
You count text-based things as cutscenes?
Yes. Skip them. Let me skip everything. I don't care about there's so many franchises I can think of where I don't care about the story. This is one thing that
I love the writing in the Paper Mario games though. Like the writing is one of the best parts, and that's also another disappointing part about Sticker Star is that like there's not a big
by the way,
line.
I think that Miyamoto was the one who also came up with the idea to let's drop some of the story, and I think that I agree with him to a certain extent. I think that
there is an overarching.
Super Paper Mario was too wordy. It was too wordy.
there is an overarching story in Paper Mario Sticker Star, but it's definitely toned back from.
Well, he also got rid
even,
of that
like-
storybook in Super Mario Galaxy, which was freaking retarded because that was a cute little storybook. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't as big on it as some other people, but like, I mean, it was completely optional and it was in nobody's way. And,
Yeah.
I mean, like, just let them at it, dude. Like, I think they need to get him off the development teams. He needs to know he's completely outdated. He's
Yeah,
just like, I don't know what he's doing anymore.
Yeah, but anyway, the thing I was talking about with the stickers
What the
is I think there's it really adds some strategy because the way battles play out in this game is all the enemies are actually like lined up in a line, so you can only attack the first person in that line. You cannot pick who you're gonna attack.
Can all of them attack you at once, or is it just the first one?
No, they all attack you after that. But what you can do is they've got this little like roulette system or whatever, or slot system where you can pay coins and you like collect coins throughout the game, and you can either use the coins to buy new stickers or you can use it on these slot things, and you can use that to actually use more than one sticker at once. So then once you do that, then you can basically pick the second guy in the row and the third guy. But it adds strategy because you have to use a certain type of sticker for each enemy. So like if there's a flying enemy, you can't use like a hammer because that won't hit him, that'll miss. And whatnot. So you have to use the jump sticker and all that stuff. So it adds some strategy in there. And then there's like other things you can find. But it's a good game. It's still like it's got that Intelligent System feel. Intelligent Systems make some great games. They're behind Pushmo and Crashmo and all that stuff. But it's definitely not as good as the other games in the series, I don't think. And then I did pick up Asura's Wrath because I've heard some crazy things about it. I haven't played it yet, but I really want to play it. Apparently, the story is just so crazy that it's just good. Like I was watching a lot of the Giant Bomb Game of the Year stuff, and a lot of people had it on their top 10, even though it is basically just a QuickTime event thing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that. And I got Crimson Shroud on the 3DS eShop, which is by Level 5. And that's by the creator of Vagrant Story, actually.
I was interested in this game, actually.
Yeah, it seems really interesting so far. So it's kind of set up like a tabletop game. Like the characters are all basically pieces from like a sort of board game. So nobody moves, nobody has any animation.
Warhammer! No, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so and then it's like you got dice rolling and stuff like that. The music in the game is freaking phenomenal. Like,
well, how's the gameplay work though? Like, I mean, like, so
okay.
So it's like, is
So-
it like Warhammer where you like roll to see if you make contact and roll to see how far you can move and roll to see
No,
how much damage you do?
It plays like a turn-based RPG. So, before each, the thing you do before each you get into any battles is
Well, where's the dice come into play?
the dice comes into play. Basically, some attacks that you have can only like you can only hit the enemy if you get a certain dice roll. So, but that's not always. Like, there's some attacks where you can just hit them. It's like a turn-based game. But then I think there's magic
So
attacks or
that's
something like that.
kind of like, okay, so yeah, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, and basically before you get into any battle, it goes you go and you have to basically pick a path. It's basically just clicking on a certain section on the touchscreen that you want to go into. I don't know if it has any effect on the story or what happens because I haven't played I've played like an hour and a half of the game, so I haven't gotten that far to really
How are
realize.
you liking it? Are the reviews accurate that it's not great, or
I mean, there's been some reviews that say it's pretty good. I mean, I think it's okay. I don't think it's been great so far.
so
there's
not
no-
really, but
there's
not
also-
really living up to the Matsuno hype, is what you're saying.
No, it's probably not as good, but it's still. I think it's worth purchasing. I'd say for
And
an
how
eShop
long is the
title.
game? Is it like 6 hours or something? or-
Apparently, it's. I think I've heard it's like 4 hours or something. It's short. Like all the games from Guild 1, apparently they're fairly short. But if it's like a 4-hour game, I think it's decent. That's a decent length.
Oh, it's
what I've
4
seen.
hours. It's okay.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of story sequence in between each battle.
Well, I was really interested in this game, and I do think the graphics aren't as good as they could be, but
It does look better on 3DS, like you were saying. Hopefully it does. But there's still some really ugly aspects to it. But it doesn't look as bad. And the 3D is
I wonder why he made a tabletop game though. That's just really interesting to me. Like, I wonder what. I know that I know tabletop games are somewhat popular in Japan. I know Warhammer has a following there. I don't know what other ones do, but I wonder why he did that. That's really an interesting toy, because you don't think of like tabletop video games that emulate a tabletop game coming from Japan. You just don't really think about that.
Yeah, I feel like that game could actually be expanded upon more than what it is doing right now. Like,
well, but I mean, do you think that for the $7.99 that he was asking, it was reasonable, or?
yeah, no, I feel like that's a good price. I mean, obviously there's a lot of games you can get on Steam or something during sales and stuff that are a lot cheaper
and probably a lot more
substantial, but I think it's a good experience. I mean, it's like Paper Mario. There's actually no leveling system in the game, but all your like attack power and defense power, it is based off of equipment that you get from each battle. So it's not like Paper Mario where there's absolutely nothing. You actually have to worry about that stuff. And yeah, so I mean,
well, I mean, it's one of the chief games I was probably interested in 3DS on this year's, and the reviews kind of mitigated some of my interest. Like but I'm still interested because I mean, it's
there's
Matsuno.
Some that were good, and there's a couple that were kind of poor, but yeah,
I'm still interested in checking out the game someday.
If it ever goes on sale or something, like some 3DS eShop games have gone on sale, but not a whole lot, then it's definitely worth checking out at like $5. But even at $8, I think it's a decent purchase just to see what it is and see what he's been doing. But yeah. The only other thing I really played or got since the last podcast is the Rayman Legends demo on the Wii U, and man, that game is gorgeous. Like, after playing that game, it's like, man, Nintendo, what are you doing with New Super Mario Brothers, man? Like, freaking Rayman Legends is unbelievably gorgeous. Like,
yeah, speaking of Rayman, wait a minute, Rayman Legends is on Wii U, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that game's also got online co-op. So what the hell? Why do we not have online co-op on? Yes, it does. I swear to God, Rayman Legends is on.
It doesn't. It's got local.
Checking this.
I'm positive, 100%. Local multiplayer.
Let's see here. You keep talking.
So, okay, the graphics are amazing. I think the game plays way better than Rayman Origins does. It just has a different feel to it, because in Rayman Origins, when you would jump and do like a kick or something, all your momentum would be gone. But in this game, when you jump and do an attack or something like that, your momentum is still there, so it just feels way more fluid in your motions and everything. And the music in the levels, that's something I didn't expect. Like, the Origin soundtrack was really good, but the music in a couple of these levels are fantastic. And just the music stage they had, like, I know you saw one of those demos probably from E3, right? That had, like, it was basically a level that was sort of played like a rhythm game almost, that was to the beat of the music.
Well, I mean, I just remembered that the level of variety, even in the first game, was really freaking good. Like I was really that was for me. I think I told Naveed this. Like, for the past generation, the 7th generation, I think there's no doubt that Rayman Origins was probably the best 2D platformer on the market.
I'm a huge fan of Donkey Kong Country Returns, so I don't think I think it's up there, but like you haven't even played that game. The game's amazing. Didn't that do 3? Oh, there it is. Is there not another one?
You should turn off your cam. I think you're getting a little bit of lag.
Yeah, all right. I'll do that. Camera. Turn off. There you go.
There we go.
I showed
My
off what I
thing-
wanted to show off anyway.
Save
So-
some bandwidth.
All right.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but like Origins is way better than any of the new Super Mario Bros. Games. I still think Donkey Kong Country Returns is amazing though. So
I looked up whether Rayman Legends had online co-op.
it doesn't.
It's on Wii U Daily says they do. I don't
It
know if
doesn't.
that's. I don't know.
I'm literally 100% positive. If it
I'm
does,
okay.
I'll eat crow.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Players can also connect online. Yeah. Even IGN says that it has online co-op.
Really?
Yep. Just checked on.
Could have sworn they said they didn't.
That's what IGN said. I just Googled it. It was on the IGN page. I don't know. So-
Yeah, I don't know either. But actually the multiplayer stuff in Rayman Legends is really cool, where one person plays as the little Murphy character, where they can like help you out.
Mhm.
And I mean that stuff is really cool. I cannot wait to get this game when it comes out in February. I'm disappointed it didn't make launch, but at least there's going to be something in the future that I can play on the Wii
in
U.
the next 6 months of dry
Yeah.
spell to play. I'm not sure.
and there is
I don't
there
think
is
we reported last cast. We should mention it. That like they release like the release schedule for like the next 6 months of Wii U, and it is rough. It's rough going.
at least there's a WarioWare game. I know you don't like those, but it's not like a regular WarioWare game. I don't think it's more like a Nintendo Land type thing, which I'm all for. A lot of the games seem like that. So.
David says that because I'm not a fan of iOS game compilations. So, I used to call WarioWare. I used to call it like I used to say if I wanted a minigame compilation, I'd head to Newgrounds, but now I just call them iOS. I call them whenever I hear something about a minigame compilation, I call them iOS game compilations.
I would argue Nintendo Land is not even a mini game compilation.
Well, Nintendo Land, to be fair, is a little more fleshed out than your average minigame collection, but WarioWare,
And
that
everything
series
also
has been
okay.
always just like cheap little crap minigames.
I will give you that. Like I can understand if you wouldn't like it, but I think it has way more charm than anything that any other type of game like that.
Like in terms of like Flash games, there's definitely I've played some of the WarioWare games. Like, okay, we were just talking about Line Rider before the cast began. I would take Line Rider over any mini game in a WarioWare title ever.
Line Rider has no point. You just do what you want.
Well, that's what most mini games are, though. You're just trying to move on in the mini game and unlock more mini games in those.
But there's no
WarioWare titles.
point for Line Rider. All you did was make an awesome freaking track, show it off to your friends.
All right, fine, Quap. That game's fucking hilarious.
Except you can't be good at it.
No, you can't. There's somebody who's good
I know.
at it.
I've freaking seen some guy. I don't understand.
I don't know how he does it, but he's.
Yeah.
Co-op is hilarious though. That game is funny as hell. And there's one other game where it was like, the freaking Frog game or whatever. That was funny
Frog
too.
Fractions is amazing.
Frog Fractions.
Game
is
of
way
the
better than
year.
any
This is our Game of the
WarioWare
Year
game.
episode also.
Yeah, this is our game. This is our Game of the Year episode. And are you done with your stuff here? Because I forgot one thing.
Yeah, Rayman Legends is
Real
awesome.
quick, I just forgot to mention I did start Space Marine, Warhammer 40k Space Marine. It's a third-person shooter. It's not an RTS, and it's made by Relic, though, the same development team. So the thing I can tell about this game is that it comes really close to doing a lot of things great. The combat's really nice, but you can tell that they did not have enough manpower. Like I think Relic is like 110 guys, and so since they were working on an RTS and this at the same time, that's not a big enough team to be doing it. And you can just tell they reused a lot of resources. And off in the distance, like nothing is really there. Like I mean, they just have there's like just parts where it's like really low quality textures slapped onto shit off in the distance, and then they put like dust up so that you can't really tell because like it's like like the idea is like a bunch of buildings have fallen down, so there's all this dust floating in like out of the area that you are not directly in. Overall, though, it does a really cool job. Like the characters look great. The combat is really well done. The multiplayer, like the game got kind of rushed out before it was done, so they had to add one of the multiplayer modes as free DLC. But the multiplayer is actually pretty good. Particularly the co-op survival mode is rather fun. That's probably my favorite so far, and I've probably put like a couple hours into the multiplayer alone. Overall, I would say like a 3 out of 5. Yeah. And on Saints Row the Third, I'll give it a 4 out of 5, and on Bulletstorm, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. So yeah, there you go. Those are my reviews. Those are my reviews, folks. Anyways, I'm done. So I guess we'll head into the news. So we don't have any rumors. It's been pretty slow, so actually the news section's pretty light, and some of it's old as hell.
Yeah, I mean...
So anyways, the Steam Xmas sale kicked off 9 days ago, and... And
dude, guys, check out that Steam sale that just started.
Just started, folks. No, so I wanted to talk to you about, because I talked to you a little bit before the cast about it. I think that they've been making some mistakes in regards to the Steam sales lately. I think that they're having sales too frequently. I think sales are lasting too long. This Christmas sale compared to the last one, with like where they had all the achievement stuff, is kind of a disappointment. I mean, so they've still had good deals. They've still had some great deals, but I don't know. What are you thinking? I mean, like, okay, look at the past 2 months. Look at the past 2 months. Look at December.
I don't even want what.
Look at December and November, okay, and October, right? So yeah. I guess 3 months, right? So, so you got 3 months right there. You've got the 10th, you got the 11th, and you got the 12th month of the year. And in that time span, we've had 4 sales. We've had the Halloween sale, we've had the Thanksgiving sale, we had the big picture mode sale, and then we had this.
And they're not fun anymore. Like they
took out the achievement stuff. And to be fair, the achievement stuff last year was only for the Christmas sale. But I thought they still
did stuff for Thanksgiving. I thought they did something cool for Thanksgiving.
I forget. I think that, but I mean, the point is,
or the summer sale. Like they didn't even do something for the summer sale, did they this year?
No.
Yeah, the summer sale last year was great.
And I mean, my issue with this is that I think that I don't think they need to do something special every sale, but at the Xmas sale, they should bring the achievement stuff back, or the achievement hunting. And I think the reason they probably didn't do it is because that probably cost them a lot of money to just throw the sale that way.
You don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to give away games like that all the time. Yeah, they don't have to.
But I think that they should encourage developers, to add achievements and things like that, and do like achievement hunting, and maybe they could give to people who did I don't know, they could do something. They could come up with something if they.
I thought the summer sale stuff was really good.
I forget what they did.
Where you could get you got like tickets, I guess, and you could use those. It was kind of like the Cole stuff, but you could use those to enter a contest, and then you could also get like DLC stuff. Mm-hmm. Like glasses in Team Fortress or something like that.
Well, and they should just do that. Like they should do where they should try to convince developers with to give out DLC for free or something if a certain achievement is earned or something like that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the developers would be willing to on their older titles at least give out DLC or something, like small little DLC packs for free. I'm sure they could as promotion stuff, but it's yeah, I mean, I think that they're just having too many, and I think it's kind of detracting from how special they used to be, I guess. And also, it's making the deals. I mean, it's like at this point, you're always like, if I'm not sure about a deal, I'm just like, oh, I'll wait for it next sale because I'm not sure about it now, and it'll be the same price next time. So
and the other thing is, Amazon's become so great with their sales as well.
Yeah,
and it's like
yes, exactly. And that's another thing I want to talk about is I think that Valve, what they need to do is they need to publish the deals they're going to have throughout these sales, like Amazon does. Like when Amazon starts a sale, they publish the days that stuff is going to be on sale. And Valve is sticking to this surprise model, which was great, but when they didn't have a competitor, it was fantastic. But now what happens is I'm like, oh, well, Amazon has this on sale today, and I don't know if I should buy it from here because maybe Valve's not going to have the same price, or they're not going to have, maybe they might not even do a sale on it. So maybe I should just buy it from Amazon. And sometimes that screws me over, and other times it doesn't, and I get the better deal. most of the time, I think though that's on average, I would say it's about equal. Like sometimes, like there was like when I bought Sonic Generations on Amazon for 15, Steam had it on sale for 10. Like when they put it on sale like 2 days afterwards. So it was like, I mean, sometimes that's the problem. So it's like if they would just publish what they're going to put on sale and which days, you would know. And to be frank, I mean, like I don't mind buying from Amazon and I don't mind buying from Steam. I like buying from both of them relatively equally. But one thing I dislike on Amazon is they have a tendency to try and put shit in bundle packs constantly. And then you don't get a very good deal because you're buying a bunch of games you don't really want, and so it's like, but they have a tendency to rely on it heavily.
That's true.
And overall, I disagree with people that Steam isn't doing good sales anymore. I think another issue Steam has is they're putting the wrong games on the front page. Like they put these games that have been on sale hundreds and hundreds of times that everybody knows about, and that's fine. But there's also games like Xenoclash that were rather well-received games when they came out, and right now on the sale, they've been 90% off. That game is 99 cents, and it has not been featured on the front page. And it's like, why not give that game a front page spot? It hasn't had a front page spot in a really long time. This is the cheapest it's ever been. And stuff like Noi 2 Love 2. Noi 2 Love 2 is $1.99. It's 60% off right now. And that game has never had a front page spot. And it's like that game has only been on Steam for like 6 months, and it's never gotten a front page spot. And so it's a new game to Steam. I mean, it's an older game. It's been out for a long time, but it's a new game to Steam. It's like, toss it on the front page.
Don't you want to buy Just Cause 2 again, though?
I mean, yeah, it's like Just Cause 2. Give me a break. Who doesn't own Just Cause 2 by now? It's like everybody and their mother owns Just Cause 2. I mean, it's like, it's just like, give me a break, man. Toss some indie titles on the front page. Toss more indie games that are on sale on the front page.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the AAAs that I don't want to buy AAAs. I'm just saying that I've seen Just Cause 2 go on sale time and time again. And I also think they need to get rid of the daily deal. I think they need to get rid of the daily deal where they have a different game on sale every single day throughout the year. That thing needs to go.
I don't like the Flash stuff either.
I don't like the Flash stuff either, and I don't like the
because
voted
for
deals
one
either.
thing, they're the same
deals.
thing. The Flash deals are the same thing as what they become daily deals or whatever.
Or else there'll be Flash deals after they've been a daily, and then they still do a repeat day at the end for the most popular sales. So and so it's like it just completely defeats the point. Get rid of the Flash sales. Get rid of the voted deals. Get rid of that crap. Just have the daily deals. Publish what days stuff is going to go on sale, and then at the end, keep the repeat day, in case anybody missed anything. That's my advice. So this next piece of news, now that we're done with that, and Valve's been making a lot of mistakes lately. Greenlight is a fucking disaster, in my opinion, but anyways. God Mode has been announced. It basically looks like a third-person shooter that's designed to play like Serious Sam or Painkiller. You are a player, like a Greek dude, going your way through Hades with a bunch of guns and fighting dudes from the underworld and shit. And the developer's not very good. I think we're supposed to get it in early 2013. I forget who the developer is though on it. But it's not a good developer. I don't know who is developing it. It's freaking Saber Interactive, who did Inversion and Time Shift.
Oh no!
Alice is the publisher. Good piece of news on an announcement. Space Hulk is announced. Space Hulk, for those of you not in the know, is a new game that's being developed by Full Control. Games Workshop is overseeing it. It's based in the Warhammer 40k universe. It is a turn-based strategy game that is designed to closely mimic the board game itself. A lot of people don't get the name. I'll explain it real quick. Space Hulk is it's a place inside of the Warhammer 40k universe where there's like a bunch of shipwreckage and stuff like that, and there's a large population of chaos-infected individuals and enemies. To the Imperium of Man, as well as like the Eldar and stuff like that. Nerdy, whatever. Anyways, no, I'm actually kind of excited about this because, as I told Naveed, and like I kind of got into this Warhammer universe via Dawn of War 2, and like I wanted to play the board game, and I looked it up, and like the cheapest you can break into that freaking board game is like $130 $30 after you buy the rule book, the codex, and
Board
your
games
basic
are
army.
fucking expensive, man.
It's like $150, and I was like, and so I was like, and then they're like, everybody was like talking about like, and Games Workshop apparently is a terrible company. I had no idea. Like, they won't allow online retailers to sell their stuff in the United States because it's legal for them to do so. But in like Britain and stuff like that, they'd be illegal to have their retailers to bar them from selling product online, so they can't get away with it there. But in the United States and like Canada, they can get away with forcing the retailers they sell to not to sell their products online, and they won't let their retailers publish the price of their products online. Like, I was looking at this website for that had discounted Warhammer stuff, and they were like 20% off of MSRP, but they couldn't. That's all they could say. They couldn't give you like individual prices, so they could only just say 20% off of MSRP, and they couldn't even publish MSRP. So, like, you had to call them on the phone and ask for prices. Like, I mean, it's just like and it's like they want the product to fail or something like that. And I mean, like, and then they announced a price increase after, and they this is salt on the wound. They switched from metal figures to plastic and then raised prices within a week afterward.
That's great.
I mean, like, what the hell? Like, so you're switching to shittier, cheaper figures, and then raising the price at the same time. And then when people tried to argue with their online retailing position, they called the retailers who bought who were trying to sell online, and they called the customers who bought their products not directly from them and their website freeloaders in a press release.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like, what dicks, dude? Like, they just sound like huge assholes. I'm kind of angry about the whole thing. I mean, like, so I was looking around, and like a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's this other board game, War Machine, that a lot of people are playing, and it's like $50 to get started," which, in my opinion, is still too much. But I mean, like, I don't want to play.
That's like an
War
average
Machine.
price of a board game, man. Like, board games are freaking expensive.
That's ridiculous.
Like, you go.
I mean, I tried to find I think I want to go to China and find out where they're making these little plastic Warhammer figures. Find somebody in the factory who I can pay off to sell them at a fraction of the price here in the States. That's what I want to do. I want to find that guy and employ him to steal the figure, like make little counterfeit molds for me.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I would make so much money if I just like priced them at half off. I don't understand it, man. Like, why don't they want the game to sell well? Like, if they just brought down the prices, made the game more accessible economically, they would increase their fan base. They would increase the health of the game. They would increase the visibility of it. They would get more sales. They'd probably have.
They don't give a shit.
I guess so. Whatever. Fuck them, man. I'm annoyed, but anyways, I guess I'll just get Space Hulk, which will probably be like on sale for like $250 a few months after it comes out. And I'll just play that. They can fuck off with their fucking overpriced trash, man. Me and Phil are getting Space Hulk, aren't we, Phil? He shrugged. He doesn't know what it is, I don't think. Did you just listen to the podcast? There's
lag between what you say and what I hear.
All right. Well, anyways, it's whatever. We'll talk about it afterwards. You're getting it, and we're playing, bitch. Shut up. Anyways, okay, so Neo Aquarium 2 got announced. Not much to say about that. It's got a new trailer. You can look it up on YouTube.
It's pretty funny.
It's Neo Aquarium 2, Ace of Seafood. The first game was pretty cool. There's a demo of that you can check out on Playism. They're funny games. They're cool. Made by a Japanese dude. They're PC exclusive. PC's king. Get over it. Anyways, your turn.
So, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner, Soul Hackers was announced for North America in spring, coming from Atlas. Also, not much to say about that. I wasn't like super surprised by this, but the way third-party stuff has been coming with the 3DS over in North America, so it's a little surprising that Atlas brought this over. But I guess a lot of the Shin Megami Tensei titles always come over here, so.
Yeah, they do.
I'm looking forward to that. I like the Shin Megami Tensei titles. I have a whole shit ton of them, so they're good games.
And he's never beaten one.
They're long.
You never beat any game. Every single podcast, I beat like 2 games.
I have beat over 30 games this year.
I don't buy that. You're probably counting like frog fractions.
No, I didn't know that. It's all on my backloggery, man.
I'm gonna go look at your backlog. Let's see what crappy games Naveed completed this year. He probably
There's
probably
actually like 44, but like half of them are virtual console titles that I just added, so I didn't count those.
You don't get to count that.
No, I
crap.
didn't. Exactly. Without
I'm
those,
so
it's
tired. This guy, and we're gonna get on this him cheating later on. He's just cheating all the time. He's just cheating. Rabbits Go Home.
That's a game I forgot to add. I've had that for a while.
Phil, this guy. I'm telling you.
That's a good game, by the way. That's a good Wii game. If anyone hasn't played it,
Beat Nintendo Land. You can't beat Nintendo Land.
Yes, you can. That's false. You can beat it. There are
Uh-huh.
stars you get for each attraction.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
All right, should we move on?
Yeah, keep talking.
Tomb Raider has been announced or confirmed to have a multiplayer mode that's probably tacked on. I don't like this. I don't like tacked on multiplayer stuff. Hopefully it's not
Okay,
tacked
but
on.
it could be like you know that one like Uncharted. Uncharted has good multiplayer.
Well, yeah, but you know that didn't.
I mean, the rest of the game is like Uncharted. So if they're aping that, man, that just means I'll have Uncharted multiplayer on my PC. I'm okay with that.
I mean, was Uncharted 1? Did Uncharted 1 have multiplayer?
No, Uncharted 2 did.
Yeah,
And
okay,
it was pretty
so
damn good. It was
yeah,
better
I've
than
heard.
the third game's multiplayer, actually.
I have heard that. But yeah, there's not much to say about that. Tomb Raider's gonna have multiplayer.
Okay, this is bullshit. Beat Mortal Kombat on 360. You don't beat fighting games.
That has
you
a story
masters of
mode,
it.
dude.
Oh, bull.
What?
Bull.
There's a full-fledged story mode in Mortal Kombat. That's another good thing about Mortal Kombat. It's got like the best story mode of any fighting game.
This is bullshit. Folks, I am standing knee deep in bullshit coming
I've
out of
also
this man's
played
mouth.
Enough of Mortal Kombat to say I've beaten it. I've mastered
don't.
Liu Kang.
You know. No. And you never even started Quantum Conundrum.
Yeah, I did. I played some of
No.
that.
Okay.
It had
I'm
like
not-
the
this
same
is-
puzzles
this-
over and over
This
again.
list is bullshit. Zen Pinball 3D. What?
I didn't count that.
You counted as beat. You did right
Well,
here.
yeah,
It's-
because
it's
I put
beat.
it as beat. I don't like putting stuff as null on Backloggery because it doesn't count the game.
Don't they have a mastery option on mine? I have a mastery.
Well, yeah,
option.
but what
I put it
don't,
like
I don't master Zen Pinball.
You can put completed.
I will say I completed or I beat the Pinball Arcade because I have done a lot of
I
the.
don't get the difference between
goals.
completed and beaten. To be entirely
I don't
honest
know.
with you.
It's like I guess for people who do 100% stuff, I don't really do that in particular. But like the stuff I say beat,
Oh.
it's usually not completely.
I've been counting completed as like stuff where you can't really beat it, but you like I put fighting games where I've unlocked all of the optional characters as completed.
No.
I guess that's not what I was supposed to be doing. Oh well.
No.
Yes.
Anyway, I think you're next.
Okay, folks. Aren't
wait,
you
never
excited?
mind.
It's oh,
me.
what a bitch.
So there was something. Speaking of Christmas, this man bought a 3DS for his son, and apparently there was porn on it. So there's this video that you guys can go check out of this guy.
And you want to look? You want to Google? You want to Google Papa Bear cries with a K over Nintendo-sponsored pornography on Son's 3DS. That's the exact Google term, and the first thing you find will be the video.
Yeah. So these guys are crying over the fact that they saw some porn on their 3DS, this child. So this is obviously going to ruin this child's life. This is no laughing matter.
And
this
what's hilarious about it is if you watch the video, the first thing you see is the same kid playing with a remote control Halo Scorpion tank. And so the irony of the father being all upset that his kid saw porn, but not upset that his kid's playing M-rated video games.
Yeah, you know that's something I don't get about the American culture. Like, why is violence, like extreme violence, is not like that looked down upon. Like you can see that in movies all the time, but when you see nudity, it's always like, oh, that's it.
Inappropriate. Yeah, I know
That's
what you
it.
mean. There's like it's okay to have like violence, quite a bit of violence on
Even
like,
on TV.
Yeah, on TV.
Yeah.
But you could not like even have a girl's ass hanging out of her pants or anything like that.
Exactly.
Like I think you can show a maximum of like 10% of a woman's behind or a man's behind on national television.
I think it was like 10 seconds or something like that.
I don't remember. I don't think it's a limit. It's I think there's like 10% or something like that, or like how much you're allowed to show of the ass, the region.
No, well, I've seen like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like
That's cable.
Oh, you mean like
I mean national like public
Like
television,
CBS
yeah, like
NBC
the
and
big
stuff like that?
broadcasters, the three major broadcasters, but really
Right.
four since there's Fox. But
Yeah.
yeah, I forget exactly. I used to be a master control operator, so I knew the FCC regs, but I don't remember what the reg was on ass time and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this kid's gonna have a terrible life. His life's ruined by this. Yeah. So, don't show your kids porn, guys.
Nope.
Reddit. I don't know anything about this. You should probably do this.
I don't either.
Oh, never mind. I do. So, I guess what's an AMA stand for again?
Ask me anything.
Yeah, Ask Me Anything. So there was a SimCity Ask Me Anything thing on Reddit, and there was some awful DRM revealed for it, and something like crazy happened during it. Oh, you need to be online to save your game.
Yep.
You need to be online to
Yep.
save a game. There goes your time, folks. Your playtime. It's over.
Yep.
Never
Like,
play this out.
if Comcast goes out, which is relatively frequently in my area, you're fucked.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know it is. What do we got here? So Sevet Yurli, I don't know how to pronounce these, Turkish, whatever, says that basically Crysis 3 maxes out consoles, not even 1% of their horsepower is left. He said no game will ever technically look better than Crysis 3 on the consoles that comes out. Most games today are not even anywhere near Crysis 2 technically. Any day I will take a battle against Gears and Halo. Whatever the amount of data we put in and the detail level is far superior. PC version of the game will rival the graphical capabilities of next-gen consoles, which I don't even think that's true. I think stuff like Witcher 2 is even beyond. Like I think that's judging by the rumors we're hearing about the Xbox. I think with stuff like The Witcher 2 is like next-gen probably. Maybe I don't even know if the next-gen Xbox will be able to run it if the rumors we've heard about that GPU are true.
Too bad Crysis 2 doesn't look as good as Halo 4 though.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Crysis 2.
That's a whole art thing though. I'm guessing. I don't know about technically.
Technically, I imagine it's much closer, if not flat out better. But
yeah, but freaking Halo looks fantastic.
Halo 4's art direction is actually kind of. I think Halo 4's art direction is kind of groundbreaking for a first-person shooter. It looks like, I mean, first-person shooters have been so homogenous in terms of their looks for a long time now, and Halo 4 looks really radically different.
Yep.
It's really well done. It's just a pretty-ass game. Did you finish that?
I got really close. That's like, yeah, I played definitely enough of it to make a substantial opinion on it. That's why it's on my Game of the Year list. But I'm not going to talk about that because it's not one of my top two that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Ron Gilbert wants to make a new Monkey Island game. Surprise, surprise, surprise. He does not have the rights, and LucasArts, and it had all of its game properties purchased when Disney just purchased Lucasfilm and all that stuff, and all the companies that were under that umbrella. He said he would love to contact Disney at some point, but he hasn't done anything, and but he says he will soon, and that he would love to get the rights back and be able to make a new Monkey Island title. I would like to see that. Chances of it happening probably pretty slim, and I doubt that Disney would just sell the rights back. I imagine they would want to publish or something
Mm-hmm.
if they do even want to touch it again, which I doubt
Yeah.
they do.
Did you see that article that was like the top 8 biggest flops or something of
Yeah,
the year?
and PS Vita was listed as 8th. That was
Number
on
8,
Yahoo
but-
Finance.
But Disney had 2 of the top 8.
John Carter and what else?
It was something else, but I don't remember exactly. But it was like 2 of the top 8, and Sony also had another one that I don't know.
They had a tablet.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, next piece of news is that Tim Schafer of Double Fine's questions whether or not Double Fine will be able to continue to even really develop on next-gen consoles if things don't change and next-gen consoles refuse to adopt a more Steam-like model. He says that Schafer highlighted the hidden expenses associated with self-publishing on consoles, certification patches, TCRs, and so on. For the next generation of consoles to remain viable marketplaces for companies like Double Fine, they will need to adopt certain aspects of Steam's open approach. We'd like to be active in that space. We care about consoles, but unless they open up things up a lot more, like what we have on Steam, if they open things up more, it would be a more friendly place from our perspective. We've talked to them, console manufacturers, about this stuff, and they hear us. They're big companies and they can't make changes overnight, but I think they're taking all of that stuff into consideration. We'll have to see what happens. But basically, he's saying that in this article, the numerous costs involved in developing for consoles, even online services like Xbox Live stated specifically, no longer make sense. So he's saying that development as it stands right now for Xbox Live and PSN don't make sense for Double Fine. And basically, with this article, I was kind of shocked that he said it, because it was like, I mean, I know that those services have been not so great as of late, but I mean, we've kind of talked about this in the past, how the indies were just going to abandon them, really. And
And like how
because I mean, we've heard like Team Meat say they don't want to work on Xbox Live Arcade like ever again, really. And I think that Mugenics is probably coming to it, but I mean, they said like they would never launch. When after that whole thing happened, they were really angry and they were talking a ton of shit about Xbox Live Arcade. And I know like studios like Runic, for example, said they would never go to Xbox Live again. So,
and like the Frozen Byte developers have come out and said like, everything is really hard to work with on, because I've been following like what they've been saying about their Wii U stuff with trying to, and they've actually, the Frozen Byte dev actually that's on NeoGAF has been saying that the Wii U version is going to soon, like very soon, outsell the PS3 and Xbox 360 version of Trying to combined. So it's like, it's those platforms are like, right now it's not really a good idea to really develop for them, it seems.
well, and I don't think that, to be honest, I don't think Microsoft is changing shit next time around. I doubt they're gonna get rid of charging for patches and stuff, because the thing is I think they're going to be in an even more powerful position next generation in America and Canada. I don't think they're going to have to change their business model. I think Sony might change how they handle patches and stuff like that, maybe, but
I mean,
don't think
Nintendo's
Microsoft-
taken the right route with their stuff, which is really shocking that they would be the ones to do that, but
well, they need third-party support, and the only place they're going to get it is indies, and that's if they create a nice environment for indies. The indies will probably support them.
yeah, it seems like, I mean, Frozen Byte is self-publishing on the Wii U.
I think that Nintendo, we still got to wait a little while, see how the eShop pans out. It's been, it's kind of in its infancy on Wii U, and Wii U hardware sales aren't exactly lighting the world on fire, but
apparently the eShop sales have been pretty successful, though, so far for the devs that are on. But there hasn't been a lot since the launch. There really hasn't been a original eShop game that's been released, which is
we got to see the lasting power, because I mean, right now it's in the launch period and people are checking out the new features of the system, and so I mean, stuff like, you remember back in the day, there's no way Marble Blast Ultra could come out on the digital platforms today and sell 1 million units, but it was like the first Xbox Live Arcade original title, and it did 1 million units. So it's like, I mean, you got to wait a little while and see how it pans out, but I think that Nintendo's got some good ideas with the eShop. Out of the big three, there's no question they've got the best system right now for indies.
Yeah, like they've already had sales for all those launch titles too. So like, you don't see those on Xbox Live or PSN until a while.
No, PSN has sales somewhat regularly, but no, I think there's definitely some.
Never had sales, literally.
Well, WiiWare was trash. WiiWare was unarguable trash, but I think that this is a problem. I mean, when you even have Double Fine's not what you would consider your typical indie studio. I mean, they're actually a decently sized independent studio. So if Double Fine is saying they're not going to develop for a next-gen Xbox Live if this stuff continues, and they're just going to go to Steam and they're going to go elsewhere, that's kind of alarming.
The Cave's coming out for all those platforms, right?
Well, Sega's publishing it, though, so Sega's partially funding that.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. Yeah. Double Fine is saying they will not independently develop games on these platforms anymore unless they start making patches free and get rid of the certification processes that currently exist. I don't think Double Fine's opposed to any type of certification. I think that the problem is that certification costs a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and it seems like that's what
people bitched about Steam's certification process, but Steam's certification process is you donate $100 to a charity.
Yeah, it seems like that's also what Nintendo's been doing as well. Like, patches cost nothing.
Yeah, but the problem we did see with that was that they took forever to come out. Remember when we had they had a Sumo Entertainment sent in a patch to Nintendo for Sonic Racing Transformed. Took like 6 days to get on the network.
Well, the thing that the Trine 2 dev has said is that Nintendo actually still does have to test it and everything, but at least it doesn't cost anything. Like, that's a step in the right direction, but it does still take a while to get out there.
They probably shouldn't be testing the patches. They should probably just release them, and then if there's anything wrong with the patch, then the developer can fix it again.
Yeah, that's probably the better move, but
because I mean, people shouldn't have to be waiting about 6 days or something for these patches, but
especially in the case of Sonic, where it was literally broken.
Yeah, it was broken. So they need to get that out the door. Let's see. Cliffy. Oh, this is yours.
Yeah, Cliff Bleszinski has said he intends to start a new studio, and I think that's the right move for him. I think if he went to another company like he was teasing or whatever on his Twitter all the time with Activision or something like that, I don't think that would have worked as well as it could have if he's making a new studio, and I think he said he's intended to make a new IP as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
All right, next piece of news is Hardcore Gaming's Small 101. The Hardcore Gaming 101 announced a Sega Arcade Classics book. The reason I'm posting this here is because I'm a pretty big Sega guy, and the book looks like it's really high quality, actually. I read some of the articles in it, and yeah, it's a really nice book.
Cool. It does look nice.
It does.
Capcom has lowered their financial forecast because of mostly because they say of Resident Evil 6.
Resident Evil 6 decline because it's just not selling.
They said the Resident Evil 6 it started to sell well, but probably because of the poor reception and deservedly so, it had tapered off pretty fastly. So
unsurprising and well deserved, I'd say.
Yeah.
Quit fucking ruining your shit. Make Mega Man Legends 3. Get off your lazy asses. Quit sucking dick.
And one of the common themes I've been seeing, because I've been looking at a lot of Game of the Year lists and stuff, if anyone does have a Resident Evil game, it's Resident Evil Revelations on their list. So, that's what people want. Apparently they like that.
Yeah, but apparently that sale, but the thing is,
that didn't do well. Exactly,
it didn't do well. And I mean, the problem with that though is I think it was I think being a 3DS exclusive really harmed it. But if it's true that it's coming to digital platforms,
especially at the time it came out, like the beginning of this year.
I think 3DS has a rough seas ahead of it. Nothing. The software sales are kind of underwhelming, and if it's true, we've got a. There was one rumor, and that was the rumor that supposedly somebody hacked it, and managed to run homebrew on it.
Yeah,
That was a rumor, and it's tough to say. But if that rumor is true, and that they're getting close to a flash card, that is gonna really hurt Nintendo. That is gonna really hurt them. In terms of software sales, because software sales are already underwhelming for most. I don't think there's been very many third-party games that have been coming out on 3DS that have been pleased outside of like Super Street Fighter 4.
In Japan, like in America, that's the case, but actually in Japan, I just read something that's the third-party content is the sales of that is actually a lot higher than the DS was, which is really surprising to me.
Well, there's a lot less of it too, though. So, less
Japan has
competition.
quite a few third-party titles over there. I mean, it's definitely a lot less than DS, but yeah, compared to here, it's a lot.
So next piece of news is what we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier. THQ filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I wrote they're selling assets, but they're not really selling assets. They're selling the entire company to a capital firm. I forget what they're called. I think it's like Clearwater Capital or something like that. And I think that the intention here isn't to disassemble the company. The intention is they're going through Chapter 11. They have a bidder. The intention here is to attempt to salvage the company and get them to a point where they can survive. If they were going to dissolve and just sell off assets, they would have declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But yeah, in terms of the news that came out of this, we've got some news. We have they're still going to be publishing games. They're still selling games. Their games have not been pulled off shelves and all that stuff. They're still fulfilling their publishing duty. And they're
Retro
still
Last Light is still going to come out.
and they're still and they're still funding the games that they currently have in development, as far as we know. So it very much appears to me that this is not something where they're just going to go in and then try to sell off bits of the company. They're going to go in and they're going to try to come back out, and it's going to be more like a sort of an MGM thing where they come back out and they are a little, healthier. They're, putting out James Bond or whatever the fuck. And so, I think it's going to be more like that, where, like it's more of a General Motors bankruptcy or a Chrysler bankruptcy where they still try to remain intact. It's questionable whether they can succeed, but we're hoping so. At least I'm hoping so. THQ is probably my favorite publisher in the industry right now. And I think, and also the other news out of this that we got was that Brian Farrell is supposedly stepping down, the CEO who's largely led this company to ruin. Once he steps down, supposedly after the deal is through, which will be like, I don't know, it's probably another 20 days before the deal goes through. Rubin is supposed to become the CEO, which I think is a much better. I think Jason Rubin I think he's just way better at managing studios, and I think he understands a little bit better on how to craft a good game. And really, those are the types of people who need to be leading video game development companies, not these business school guys. We need people in charge who understand game development and understand how to craft good games. And also understand, what deadlines are reasonable to be setting for studios so that the game can still be of a high quality when it's released, instead of having, some cut corners and things of that nature. But basically, in the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, we found out all the games that THQ is working on, including some unannounced ones.
Yep.
But we have some names of the games that were unannounced that didn't have any sort of names yet. For example, we knew Turtle Rock Studios was working on a game with THQ, and we now know the name of that game is called Evolve, and THQ filed a trademark for Evolve in March. We also now know that THQ Montreal is working on 1666, which is believed to be based on the London fires. That's the game being led by Patrice Desilets, who was the creator of Assassin's Creed. And Vigil Games, the guys who do Darksiders, are working on a game called Crawler. No information other than that was given. Jason Rubin tweeted that all of the current projects listed in the bankruptcy filing are still scheduled for their original release dates, even these unannounced ones. But they never announced release dates for those, so maybe he wasn't talking about those. He also said that all Saints Row and Homefront follow-ups are still green lighted and being funded. So we should still expect Homefront 2 and Saints Row 4, Company Heroes 2, Metro Last Light, South Park: Stick of Truth are all set for their original the dates that they were delayed to originally.
Yeah.
And no idea if we do have no idea whether the Warhammer Dark Millennium, which was the game Vigil was working on, is canned, and THQ's being kind of cagey about it and not saying whether that they're still working on it or not. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if the game was codenamed Crawler. For the Warhammer game that they're working on. I doubt they're going to cancel Warhammer. Warhammer has been one of THQ's safety franchises, so I don't think they'd cancel it and give them a new IP. I think that they are trying to get Vigil to work on a profitable game that's a safe bet for them right now, and I think that the Warhammer is where they would go for that. And since they're dodging the answer of whether it was, canned, I don't think it's canned.
Mm-hmm.
They would just say it was canceled if it was canceled, at least I think. But anyways, yeah, that's the THQ news.
Yep. So this War Z stuff that's been going on, it's kind of funny. So War Z came out on Steam. Basically, they had promised a whole bunch of stuff, but when it was released, like, all that stuff wasn't there. I don't know exactly what was missing, but basically what happened is Steam finally took it down after, how many days was it?
Like 2. It was up for 2 days, literally.
Yeah.
It was up for a very short time because the community got very annoyed with Valve that Valve let it onto the store, and then Valve pulled it.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't even think the game was finished. Like,
no, it wasn't. They put it out to beat the DayZ standalone.
Yes, which also was delayed until 2013. So I don't know why they would do that anyway.
I don't know. It's controversial.
Yeah. So basically, they took it off because of false advertising. I'm like I said, I'm not positive exactly what was missing or what they had promised or stuff like that. So yeah,
all right.
I'm not sure.
Well, there was they said that you could have up to 100 players, and that there were and you could only have up to 50, and they said the maps were up to this size, and really there was only one map that you could play, and it was much smaller, and and they said and they've also, the other controversy of the whole thing was just that the game was originally something else, and then once DayZ took off, they put zombies in it.
Yeah.
And copied it.
Yep.
Using pretty much the same assets. So this is just a small piece of news because it's not really far in, but basically it's a beta. Valve has launched the Steam Community Market, and you can buy and sell. So far it's only for TF2, but you can buy and sell all your TF2 items for Steam Wallet funds. And so I'm pretty excited about this because I have a lot of TF2 items I don't really want, and I can get free Steam store credit with this. I'm already playing TF2. I'm already getting dropped items, so I may as well just sell it and get free money out of it. It's yeah, sure.
Kind of like Diablo stuff.
It's not, but except for it's in terms of you can still very easily find all this shit in the game if you just play a few hours a week. But yeah.
But yeah. You could do that in Diablo as well. They're random drops, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that.
All right. So Valve also has acquired a new studio, a
very
two-man
small studio.
Yeah. Starfield Studios, which has former PopCap employees as well as a Blizzard employee. So yeah, we don't exactly know why.
Yeah, we don't know why they did this. It only has 2 employees. They're not particularly well-known employees. One was a programmer on Plants vs. Zombies, and now they're growing the studio and they're hiring people. But why didn't they just start their own studio rather than buy some 2-man outfit out? I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so me and Naveed are kind of lost, but they have to have a reason. I mean, there had to be some business sense behind this.
Yeah. We don't know.
We don't know. They must have something going for them.
Yep.
Gaming Crash continues. This is our final story, and then we go into Game of the Year discussion. But basically, IGN published an incomplete list of 20 major game studios we lost in 2012. We lost Hudson Soft, but not really because they just merged into Konami and then were shut down. So I guess
that was
we
a while ago.
but it was in 2012. Sony Liverpool, Spellbound Entertainment, Zipper Interactive, Rockstar Vancouver. Just a ton of studios that we've lost and added to this this bloodbath that is the current generation, and we're going through a large gaming recession, and the market is shrinking in terms of traditional gaming, and it's definitely a scary time, but hopefully everything balances out. I find it unlikely, and I think we're going to lose a lot of studios in the coming years, and I think the market for games is going to decrease and decrease. So, and we've seen this in 3DS, and we're seeing it in Wii U now. So, we saw it definitely in Vita. So, yeah. Crash continues, but anyways, so now it's time for Game of the Year discussion. How do you want to do this?
Game of the Year. I don't know. I guess we're going to first talk about
our 2011 choices, or
yes.
So let's explain how we're doing this real quick. First of all, Naveed and I
not.
Well, yeah, Naveed's a bitch and he broke the rules, but so we're kind of doing this like NeoGAF, where you pick a 2012 Game of the Year, and then you also pick a 2011 game that you didn't play in 2011, but you played in 2012, and it was your favorite. So like you really liked it, basically. It doesn't have to be your Game of the Year for 2011. But
I was thinking about like the way Giant Bomb was doing it, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's more. So basically, even though we're saying our 2011 Game of the Year, it's not overriding our 2011 original choices. It's just a game that we played this year that we liked a hell of a lot.
Yeah, that we
from 2011.
Yeah.
So then we also have our 2012 Game of the Years, and we're talking about our top 2 choices.
Yeah, if you want to see my top 10, I think I've decided I'm going to make a video of my top 10 for this year, so you guys can go check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not making anything. I'm just going to have my top 2.
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, you don't have a. Well, you do have a YouTube channel, but you don't really post.
I don't use it. I don't use it. So my 2011 choice is Saints Row the Third. I thought this game was really freaking good. It did not unseat Shogun 2, which was my actual 2011 Game of the Year during that year. But it is freaking fantastic. It's completely over the top. The humor's fantastic. The overworld is not too large. It's a decent size, but it's not too large. The vehicles, especially later in the game, are great. The mission variety is just absolutely nuts. It's just like it's beyond anything I've seen in a game like this ever. Soundtrack, I mean, it's just licensed music, so not particularly special, and it's not like amazing choices or anything, but whatever, I don't really give a shit. I would have liked the ability to do custom soundtracks. I'm sure there's a mod for it or something, but I didn't really look into that. Yeah, it's really freaking good. The gunplay works fine. There's I like parachuting off of buildings, the freaking planes and all that stuff. Jet boats, you got everything that you would expect. Just the missions are so well structured,
and it's apparently freaking hilarious.
It's hilarious. There's a mission, and this is kind of a spoiler, but I don't really give a shit because whatever. Plug your ears, because I'm about to tell spoiler. There's a mission where you save a guy. I'm not gonna say who. I'm gonna try to keep this as non-spoilery as possible. Where you save a guy from a whorehouse where he's a slave, and he's been subjected to BDSM for like 2 years. And when you come down, he's like got a harness and a ball gag, and they're like chasing you. Like the enemies are chasing you. The people, like, because another gang owns the whorehouse, and so you hook him up to a chariot and proceed to have him run. And you're sitting in the chariot, and you've got this BDSM guy pulling your chariot through the streets of of Stillwater, or Steelport as it's called, the city. And then all of a sudden, they have BDSM dudes who are pulling chariots come out behind you and start chasing you through the city.
Well,
yeah.
I need to play this game.
And then, if you shoot them, they inexplicably explode just like the cars would. It's completely just like over the top. Yeah.
I'm going to play this game.
And then when you pull the dude's ball gag out, he makes references to strap-on dildos up his bum for the past 2 years.
That's great.
It's pretty fantastic. Definite fantastic 2011 game. Pick it up if you haven't. It's been this. Amazon had a
It's on
nutso
sale
deal
right
on it.
now.
It's been getting down to like the full package, the game where you get all the
$750.
DLC. I've seen it get down to like 10, and maybe it gets down to 750.
It's on
I have no idea.
$750 on Steam right now.
Oh, okay. Well, for the full package or just for the base
The
game?
full package.
Oh, that's a good deal. Buy it, everybody. I swear to God, you will not regret it. Like, seriously, freaking buy it. And I mean, that's not even that bad of a deal considering that you get all the DLC, whereas the one in the Humble Bundle just came with the game, and some of that DLC is actually significant. So,
Mhm.
no, I was really happy with that game. I really want you to play that because that game just beats the shit out of the GTA. Like it clobbers the fuck out of it.
I'm going to play that once I
And
get
like,
back to
and
the
there's
apartment.
like there's like these missions. Like there'll be missions where like there's missions where you go into like a Tron computer world and shit like that. Like it's just like the mission variety is through the roof. It's just like I was absolutely shocked. Fantastic pacing, not a boring moment. Fantastic.
Cool.
Up there with Red Dead Redemption, Shenmue 1 and 2, and Saints Row the Third. Those are if you ask me, those are the only 4 open world games I actually like really like.
No wonder people were so high on the game.
Yeah.
Like-
So, yeah, that's when I mean, you know, I don't like it as much as Shenmue 1 or 2, but I actually probably like it more than Red Dead Redemption. I think it's better than Red Dead Redemption because Red Dead Redemption, you have this giant dead overworld, which is typically what you have in a Rockstar overworld, and so I just ended up using quick travel over and over and over again. But yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, 2012 top 2 choices. Number
Do you want
1.
me to do my 2011?
Oh yeah, do your 2011.
So for me, I never beat Skyward Sword in 2011. I might have played like half of it or a little more.
This is
than
why
that.
and in the doc I wrote next to it FAG arrow pointing towards Skyward Sword choice. And the reason I did this, folks, is because he's cheating. He's cheating. He's picking a game he started playing in 2011 and then finished in 2012.
I'm going
so
by
disregard his choice.
I'm going by my rules.
Your rules are
So-
bullshit. Bull.
I beat Skyward Sword in 2012, and while like I said, like Spencer said, it hasn't unseated any of my like top few games. I think my number 1 game last year was Ghost Trick, and my number 2 is like Portal 2. But Skyward Sword is a great Zelda game. There's some problems with it. I think I've talked about it on previous podcasts. There's some filler that's not very good, but the dungeon design and gameplay, the controls, I love the controls. Some people might not have liked them, but I thought the controls were great. But the dungeon design is some of the best in a Zelda game. The visuals are fantastic. The music's great. There's so much to like in Skyward Sword for a Zelda game that I really can't let the filler bog me down too much. It was disappointing that some of that filler was there, but I thought the overall game was really great. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about Skyward Sword.
I'm trying to remember what my second choice was for 2011 Game of the Year. I honestly don't remember.
Huh. Yeah,
I do not remember.
I don't remember my list except for those 2.
Yeah,
Weird.
it's really weird how you only remember like the top 1.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, considering I don't remember anything else, I would say Saints Row the Third was probably honestly would take my second place, but it's tough for me to say because I don't remember the other ones. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to like be like, what the hell did I play? That
I
was
think
from 2011.
Super Mario 3D Land was in there. I think at like number 3 or 4 for me. So
Yeah, it's toughy, man. I'm really upset that I didn't like write it down anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so do you want to do with our 2012? Do you just want to do turns and then say both of our choices in those turns,
sure.
or do you want to do? Oh,
Number
here's my
2.
number 1 choice, and then you do your number 1 choice, and then my number 2 choice, and then your number 2 choice.
Or the number 2 choice first.
Yeah, let's do both. Let's just do our number 2 choices first. So my number 2
Okay.
choice is Torchlight 2. It's an action RPG on PC. It's top down. It's a dungeon crawler, etc., 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 etc. And it's really freaking good. I have some problems with it in single player, but like I said earlier, I think I mentioned in this cast that I have a problem with all of these games in single player. But it's really freaking good. Me and Phil are actually about to play some multiplayer tonight. So, good graphics. I think the soundtrack is pretty good, and the art direction's rather well done. I think that the skill trees. My main issue with the game is the skill trees. I think there's a little bit too much going on in the skill trees. And like a lot of the stuff is superfluous, like, you know, so it's just like I think the skill trees could be simplified and done better. Not that I'm saying that I have a problem with depth, but it's just there's too many that are kind of the same thing. And yeah.
Yeah. So cool. My number 2 game of the year is Hotline Miami. I'm sure you guys have heard me rave about it. Go watch my review if you want to hear like my full impressions on the game. I'm not going to talk about it too much
because you've talked about it so much on the podcast already.
Yeah, like okay, the music is freaking incredible. Get that? It's like my second favorite. The funny thing is, like my top 3 games that I have. Well, I'm not going to talk about my third one, but my top 3 games, each of them also was like my favorite soundtrack in that same order. So like my number 1 game was my number 1 favorite soundtrack. Number 2 was number 2 and whatnot. But yeah, Hotline Miami, the gameplay is great. You know, visually it's great. Super surprising since I never heard about it beforehand. But yeah, go watch my Hotline Miami review if you want to see more about what I think about that game.
Yeah. Well, my number 1 choice may generate some controversy, but I don't really know. It was nominated for Naveed's not too hot on it, but it was nominated for a Golden Joystick, and I think it's a fine choice.
I still think it's a good game, but it wouldn't scratch my top 10.
Oh, you have a bullshit top 10 then.
My top 10 is pretty good.
Okay, no. Quickly list the names in your top 10, not in any specific order, but just.
I'm trying to think of it in order. Okay, the Pinball Arcade. Resident Evil Revelations. What was number 8? I think it was Halo 4, maybe.
This is taking too long. Anyways,
okay, Halo 4. Rhythm Heaven Fever, Nintendo Land, Journey, Hotline Miami, and I'll get to my number 1. That wasn't 10, but yeah.
Hotline, wait. Journey and okay.
Talk about your top game.
All right, so it's Binary Domain. It's pretty damn good. I would say that Binary Domain is honestly, like outside of Vanquish, the best pure third-person shooter ever, and I maintain that. It's not as good as Vanquish, but yet again, I mean, Vanquish isn't traditional either. So I mean, like Binary Domain, if you're not into, a lot of people don't like the speed of Vanquish because like they don't know how to play it or whatever. I don't know what the reason is, but some people complain about the speed of Vanquish and like the boosting and jetting around and stuff like that, and I can't really see why. I guess it maybe is just a little maybe too fast paced for some people or something like that. I don't know. But if you're looking for a traditional traditional third person shooter, this is the best one. It's much better than Gears of War or anything like that, and it's got some flaws. The chief flaws that I would dock this game on are there's some low animation quality, particularly when you're turning, where like your feet don't really match up with the ground, and there's some other flaws like in the story. There's some kind of just weird, geeky, like tacky moments. Overall, the story is rather good, and overall, it's rather well written. There's some funny parts in it. I mean, like there's a couple jokes here and there, chiefly from Big Bo. Who's a supporting character, and Kane. Kane's pretty funny, but it does have some minor flaws that I would dock it on. What it has going for it, and actually I forgot one. There's like it's one of those games like I played it on PC, so I don't know what the button on the gamepad would be, but like you go up to stuff, and rather than just like fluidly jump over it, it's like press F. And Bulletstorm had that same issue, like like where it's like you have to press a freaking, it's like just either make it so that I have a jump button or like just automatically make me go up like you would in Zelda or something, because it's just not very fluid. It was particularly bad in Bulletstorm because
I feel like a lot of games do that.
Yeah, a lot of them do, and I don't like it though. But especially in Bulletstorm, because you would see something you're supposed to be like vaulting over, like so you'd like run towards it. And then once, like, if you, like, so I would start holding space before I got to it, and if you were running and hold space before you got to it, you would just run into it. So, like, there'd be this little prompt to hit space to jump over it, but if you hit space and then walked up to it, you wouldn't do it. You had to wait until it told you to hit space. That really bothers me. That's really, I don't like that sort of, this game is so linear that like we tell you when to. We have QuickTime events for hopping over shit. It's like no, absolutely not, absolutely not. Make it fluid, make it work. Don't have a QuickTime event every single time I'm supposed to jump over something. No, absolutely not. So it's just like. But I mean, binary domain, I think that if you start holding F before you walk up to something, your guy will automatically do it, so at least it's got that going for it. But it's got really satisfying gunplay. And one of the things I like about binary domain is it doesn't do this crap that a lot of other shooters do where you have a ton of guns. I'm not a fan of a ton of guns. I like quality over quantity, and all the weapons in binary domain feel pretty good. The sniper rifle could feel better. But like the machine gun, your basic assault rifle feels really nice, and when you feel a lot of impact because when you shoot your enemies, they're robots and like bits and pieces fall off of them, and the robots. I was kind of pleasantly surprised by them because like the AI they'll keep on attacking you if you shoot off their legs. They'll keep coming at you, and once they fall on the ground and they don't have any legs anymore, they're actually kind of hard to spot. And they'll try to flank you and stuff like that and come around your cover and. The AI isn't stupid in that game, to say the least. I think that the game was rather well done. I think that one of my favorite things about it, though, is the constant boss fights. This is like something I've never really seen in anything else. But basically, like it feels like binary domain. I'm on my second playthrough, but it feels like about half of the game is a boss fight. Like there's some really long boss fights that are just really consistent and featured throughout the game. And they're really well done. Like most of them are really well done. They're just fun boss fights, and it's nice to have a game that is so boss centric nowadays because so many games that we play, nowadays, the 16-bit generation, it was that every single time you finished a level, you might have a boss or something like that. What this game kind of reminds me of is Treasure's Alien Soldier. It's not anywhere near as hard as that, but it's you had a boss. The bosses were very frequent in Alien Soldier. And so this game kind of reminded me of that a little bit, but there are some problems I have with how frequently the bosses are featured. For example, there's a gorilla boss that chases you throughout the game, and it's very scripted, because you actually can't really do any damage to him to kill him before he gets to this like one room where you need to kill him in that room.
So was that like the mall area?
Yeah, you can do damage to him in the mall, but he keeps chasing you, and then he like finds the resistance area, and he starts going through that hall, and you're supposed to like shoot at him and like blow these explosives up while he's going through this hall, but it doesn't damage him at all. It does like no damage to his health. You cannot kill him before he gets into this room, and you should be able to do damage to him before he gets into that room.
I personally, some of the pacing in the game kind of threw me off. Like towards the end of the game, I thought it was like way too action heavy. Like that's such a weird thing to complain about, but I don't know what it was. Like
Naveed did not like the constant boss fights, from my understanding.
It
didn't
feel as bad towards
it
didn't feel as bad towards the beginning of the game.
Well, the beginning of the game has a lot less boss fights, but the end of the game, like you're almost always being chased by some boss. And personally, I think that's the best feature in the entire game. I think the boss fights are the best feature, but yeah.
Yeah, is that?
Yeah, that's it.
Basically it. Do you want me to go through my top 10?
No, it's all right.
I got it up.
Bosses, guys. If you like bosses, if you like traditional third-person shooter gameplay, check out Binary Domain.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still recommend it. It's still a good game. But yeah. So my number one game of 2012 was Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. This is the gamiest game, if that makes any sense, that I've played in a long time. Like, everything about the game just feels fantastic. Screw anyone who thinks the controls are bad. You just don't know how to learn a new control scheme. Because seriously, the controls, I don't think...
Even you complained about the controls initially.
I got used to them extremely fast. I
haven't played it, so it's a toughie for me to comment on.
No, I think the controls work fine. I think they work perfectly well, and I think with an analog stick, with dual analog, it would be unplayable, at least in the air sections, because you need way more speed and way more accuracy than you can ever get from a dual analog setup. At least if you want to like actually kill all the enemies, or if you're trying to kill all the enemies, you're not going to be able to do that if you had a dual analog setup. I guess it'd still be playable. May not have been unplayable, like I said, but it definitely would not be as good as with the control setup that is in place. The music is incredible. Like I said, it's my favorite soundtrack of the year. It's probably the best soundtrack of any Nintendo game in years. I can't really think of one that I've personally enjoyed a lot more. It's freaking incredible. There's a ton of great artists were working on that soundtrack too, so it's no surprise that it's so great. The game also has a crap ton of content. Like, you can go through the game. Go through like the first 9 chapters of the game, and you think that's it. You know, it was a good length, but then there's so much more after that. I think there's a total of 20-some chapters after that, and every moment is so great. The characters are incredible. The dialogue is surprisingly fantastic. I did not expect that when I got the game at all. It's genuinely a funny game. Graphically, it looks fantastic on 3DS. The 3D is well done, and there's just so much other stuff I could talk about, like the multiplayer, which I played quite a bit. But it's just such a fantastic video game experience. Like, I don't feel like enough games these days feel like a video game. I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not. But
I don't. Well, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me because I mean, like stuff like Binary Domain with the heavy boss fights feels like a video game to me.
That definitely does feel like more like stuff like that. But like everything's getting so much more realistic, and
oh, you mean like the COD stuff and whatnot?
It feels like something that you would see like back in the day, even though it's obviously a way newer. But it just feels.
No, I get that. Like, I mean, because like Binary Domain for me was like that was like a huge flashback for me to like the 16-bit gen. Like that game feels to me like if you took a 16-bit side-scrolling shooter and put it into a third-person shooter, that's what that game feels like to me.
Yeah, this is kind of like the sections on rails in Kid Icarus feels like something like sort of a shoot 'em up from that age, and maybe mixed with Sin and Punishment a little bit in there. And while the ground stages. I don't know what I would compare them to for those, but those were just really fun to play through as well, and it's just so much fun.
I haven't played this. I'm not a big. I'm not a big Sakurai fan, so I have my hesitations on Kid Icarus.
No, I'm not even a big like Kirby fan. Like, I don't like Kirby games. I think Smash Bros. Is great, but it's not like it wasn't in my top 10 Wii games. You saw that. We talked about that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I mean, for me, like Sakurai's best games are like a 3 out of 5, pretty much the ones that I've played. I mean,
I think Smash is a 4, but you know,
Smash
Kirby
is a 3. It's so imbalanced and broken. It's just
that's not how I'd rate it. I'd rate it more based on how much fun I had with the game. But I don't view that as a fighter anyway. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you don't view Smash as a fighter, the balance is unarguably a problem.
I guess, but you know, I never
because I mean the idea of it, even if it's a party game, you should be able to pick characters and still win with them. But I mean,
you can't. I can't. I'm not gonna
give me a break, dude. If somebody picks Ganondorf against a Meta Knight,
okay. If you're talking about the worst characters, yeah. But it's like if I played a Meta Knight versus my Pikachu, I probably couldn't win as much with Meta Knight. Like, I wouldn't be able to use him as well. But I understand what you're saying, but. I'd still give that game a 4 anyway, but yeah, Kid Icarus is easily his best game ever.
Yeah, Naveed and I rate games differently. In case anybody didn't know, I try to dock games on objective faults most of the time. Basically, I don't really
Yeah.
Because like otherwise, if I try to just dock games on whether I had fun with them, stuff like Company of Heroes that I recognize is really well made. Would not score well with me because I don't really have fun while playing it because it's got the base management stuff that I despise and stuff like that. But it's like, I mean, it's definitely the best made RTS I've ever played on an objective level.
I don't personally love doing that I mean, if I was gonna review a game that I don't like, I wouldn't review it in the first place. So I mean, I would review a game if I thought a game it looked fun that I wanted to play, but I didn't have fun with it. I'd still review it low. But if there was a game like an RTS that I'm personally, I guess, sort of biased against, I wouldn't review it.
Yeah, I would give like Company Heroes. Like I'm not. I would give it a 4 out of 5, and I had nowhere near. Honestly, I'd probably give Company Heroes a 5 out of 5, and I had nowhere near that level of fun with it. Like I mean, like it was like a really stressful experience for me because I don't like base management. I really hate it, but it's a lot of people do. So,
Yep.
I would be fair to the game. So. And to be fair, I've played a lot of RTS games, and that is still the best one because the thing about RTS is it's always a genre that has interested me, but I could never get over the base management thing. So I've played a lot of them, and Company Heroes is the best made one I've played. So Phil actually just got super huge on Company Heroes.
Cool.
But yeah, anyways, I don't know.
Yep.
He can stand base management, I can't.
Me neither.
So yeah, I guess that's it. Episode
That was
whatever.
our Game of the Year stuff, and
Yeah.
episode 18. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
I
thanks
guess it's been
everybody.
a while, so
Yeah, it's been a lot of whoever still remembers us.
yep. All right. We'll see you
Bye.
next cast. Hopefully it won't take that long.
Yeah, hopefully.